welcome. Bluebird Leader is this offering is a 20-minute yoga sequence, a little bit of centering, a little bit of connection to breath and to movement. And I hope you can take 20 minutes out of your day just to press pause, to find a place to land and to maybe recenter and reset yourself. So find a comfortable seat, or if you'd like to come onto your back. So a couple of ways that I sometimes like to begin. One is seated in Sukhasana. So Sukhasana translates to easy seat or sweet seat. Find a sweet seat. But it's not always easy for all of us, right? Sometimes our hip flexors, our low back just doesn't feel super comfortable. So another way to begin your practice, just going to move that bolster off to the side, is to come onto your back. The feet can be hip width distance apart, or if you're feeling a little bit just like tight in your low back, you can bring the knees together and the feet out wide, one hand on the heart, one hand on the belly, both hands along your side body. I'm going to start seated here. So however you'd like to begin. And it is a beautiful day here in Connecticut where I reside. And so for me, just looking out at the beautiful blue sky and the dance of the trees through the wind, just pressing pause, right? So you might start to notice what's around you, and then taking a moment to notice how your body is breathing. So if anything feels tight or feels stuck, it might be the first time, right? We breathe throughout the day. So right now might be the first time that you notice how the body is breathing. And then soften your gaze or close your eyes. And if you are on your back or seated upright, as you take a breath in, try to draw that breath into the spine. And so think about the spine maybe elongating a little bit more. And as you exhale, allowing something to settle. So allowing the breath to release and to feel a settling in your body. Maybe the sits bones settling into the earth or into a blanket or bolster. And as you breathe in, just finding a little bit more length, a little bit more lift. And as you exhale, settling the shoulders. Again, if you're on your back, allowing the shoulder blades to ground into the earth. And as you offer your body another breath in, not only feeling the heart lift, right, but feeling the breath move into the belly, maybe into a deeper part of you. And then as you exhale, just empty out completely and releasing that breath fully, as if the breath were pouring out of your body. And then come to a slow, sustainable breath for you, one that feels easy, one that feels smooth. And so in our practice, as we move together, if nothing else, I want you to think about moving with the breath. And so if the breath becomes too forceful, or if something feels forced, can you come back to this slow, sustainable breath? And if you're meeting this practice in the morning, you might set an intention here, a sankalpa, which doesn't quite translate to intention. It's a little bit deeper. Like, how might you be of service to the world today? If you're meeting this practice in kind of the busyness of your day and you're taking 20 minutes out of your day, perhaps at a lunch hour or in the afternoon, how can this be a reset as you move into the rest of your day? And if you're meeting this practice in the evening, maybe just allowing the day to just settle, allowing the day to wash off of your shoulders and entering into a place of calm and a place of ease, a place of peace as you settle into your evening. And so however this practice is meeting you, can you be awake and aware to it? And as you exhale, allowing yourself a release, whatever that release might be. Just kind of a doorway to release, to let go. Whatever feels tight, whatever feels stuck. Breathing in, creating a little bit more space, and breathing out, releasing any of that stuck or tight energy. On your next in-breath, just flutter your eyes open as you make your way into a tabletop position. So I'm just going to move the bolster off to the side here. Again, blocks can be really useful for you. You just check in with your wrist creases. Parallel are your finger pads, or your pointer fingers, I should say, should be parallel or slightly turned out. So you want your shoulders to be slightly turned out a little bit, or your hands as wide as your shoulders. And then just check in with your knees, that you're underneath your hips. And pretty simple. Many yoga practitioners are pretty familiar with this. As you inhale, you're going to drop the belly and lift the heart. That's your cow pose. And as you exhale, rounding through the spine and tucking the tailbone. Inhale, lift the heart, drop the belly, curl the tailbone up towards the ceiling, and then exhale, round, tuck the tailbone, tuck the chin, really push the earth away. And so just moving with your breath. Sometimes people like to incorporate the feet. So on the inhale, tucking the toes, and on the exhale, you're pressing the feet, the tops of the feet, as you curl through the spine, tucking the tailbone. Just taking some rounds of the back, cat, cow. Think about curling the biceps towards the front or relative front of the room as you move here. However this practice is meeting you. And then on your next inhale, just find what feels like a neutral spine. You're going to step that right foot to the back of the mat and the left foot to the back of the mat. You're in the top of a push-up, a plank pose here. You really want to puff up the upper back. So here in your plank pose, again, just check in with your wrist creases, that they're relatively parallel to the front of your mat. Your pointer fingers parallel to one another are slightly turned out here. And so this is a nice way to begin. And just adjusting that stance as you come to your downward facing dog. And so the heels don't have to touch. You'll probably notice that my heels do not touch right now because my hamstrings and my calves are just warming up. So a nice offering to your body, you might need to bend the knees a little bit because you want that length in the low back. And as you inhale, try to lift the biceps up towards the ceiling or steer those biceps towards the front of the room. And as you exhale, allow the ears to align with your bicep, and you can shake out the head yes and no here in your down dog. On the inhale, we're going to come forward to plank pose, and on the exhale, up and back, downward facing dog. Again, I'm bending the knees to protect the low back. Certainly can do that, or you can relatively open up the backs of the knees. You just don't want to hyperextend your legs here. And then on the inhale, you're coming forward to your plank pose, and then exhale, up and back, downward facing dog. Inhale, plank pose. Exhale, downward facing dog. And on your next inhale, look forward. You're just going to walk to the top of your mat. Forward fold, Uttanasana. Your hip width distance and parallel. Again, blocks can be really nice here. In your forward fold, bring the earth a little bit closer if you feel like you're reaching. On the inhale, Ardha Uttanasana. So in some cases, this might feel like a halfway lift. You're making a 90-degree angle with your body. But for others of you, it's just a lifting of the belly and the upper back. And so you're here in this kind of number 7 position. And then exhale, bow and fold. On your next inhale, reach up, stretch up, Urdhva Hastasana. And exhale, stand, Tadasana, mountain pose. Inhale, arms are going to reach up, Urdhva Hastasana. And then exhale, you fold. Staying at the top of your mat, inhale, lift the low belly and the upper back. Exhale, fold. Ground down through the feet, reach up, stretch up. Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, stand, Tadasana. Inhale, arms reach up. And exhale, you fold. On your next inhale, as you lift the low belly and the upper back, we're just going to step the right foot to the back of the mat. Inhale here, and then exhale, left foot meets it for a plank pose. Big breath in, puff up the upper back, and then slowly rock yourself forward and back. So I just want you to feel that forward and back movement. On your next inhale, you're going to rock forward, and as you exhale, Chaturanga Dandasana. So the elbows draw back, the shoulder heads stay lifted. Then you release your belly and your thighs, untuck the toes, Bhujangasana or Cobra pose. Exhale, downward facing dog. And this, in your down dog, is just a really nice place to find stillness, to find a place to land. Now, down dog isn't a resting pose for everyone, so you can come into a tabletop position. This is a great alternative. Or you can find plank pose. You can stay in plank pose if you feel any pinching in the shoulders in your down dog, or if it really doesn't feel like a place where you can reconnect to your breath. And then on your inhale, the right leg will lift. And exhale, step your right foot towards your right thumb. Inhale, low lunge, and then exhale, left foot meets the right feet are hip width distance in parallel. Inhale, lift the low belly and the upper back. Exhale, bow and fold. Ground down through the feet. Urdhva Hastasana, arms reach up, maybe a little back bend. And then exhale, stand, Tadasana, mountain pose. Bones are stacked. When I feel that stacking of your hips on top of your knees, knees on top of ankles, shoulders resting on your rib cage. Inhale, arms reach up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, lift the low belly and the upper back. Exhale, step your left foot back, low lunge. Inhale here, exhale, plank pose. Big breath in, and draw the shoulder blades away from one another, and then inhale, slightly rock forward as you exhale, Chaturanga Dandasana. Drop the thighs, drop the belly, keep the shoulder heads lifted. Inhale, Bhujangasana. Exhale, Adho Mukha, downward facing dog. Inhale, left leg lifts. Exhale, step your left foot forward. In breath, look where you're going, and then exhale, step that right foot, not necessarily to meet the left. Your feet are hip width distance in parallel, outer edges of the feet parallel to the outer edges of your mat. Inhale, lift the low belly and the upper back. So I like fingertips to shin through the tops of your quads. Exhale, down and fold. Ground down, push the earth away as you reach out, stretch up. Inhale. And then exhale, stand, Tadasana. Just going to incorporate a little balancing, standing balancing here. So left foot is going to stay grounded. You can come into your tree pose. Notice a little wobbling. Right foot to inner left calf. Right foot to inner left thigh. Hands at heart center. Or right foot, ball mound of the right foot comes to the left arch. Hands at heart center. Hands can reach up. Or arms coming to a cactus shape. Opening through the shoulders, try to lift the inner elbows up. If you need even more, you can come into a little shoulder stretch where you're interlaced behind your low back. Big breath in. And then exhale, slowly release. You release the right foot. Again, just find that foundation. I will just come to the other side. So left foot, ball out of left foot to the inner right arch. Calf. Or kind of to that inside of your right quad, hands at heart center. And Dristi, you might hear that in yoga classes. Dristi means gaze, but it also means that gaze inward. So finding that gaze inward that helps us to reconnect to our balance, right? Centering is a continual practice. Arms can reach up. It's not a fixed destination. Come into that cactus shape, goalpost shape. Try to lift the inner elbows up. Inhale. Again, if you need more sensation, you can find an interlace. Ooh, high plant behind your low back, opposite thumb on top. And then exhale, gently release. We're coming to Utkatasana. So feet can be hip width distance or toes can come to touch. So feet can be here. If you're in Utkatasana where you bend the knees and you step back, you don't want to knock knee, okay? So you want to keep everything nice and aligned. So Utkatasana chair pose, feet are hip width distance. Or toes come to touch. Like you're sitting back in a chair. Try to lift the bottom of the heart up. And then draw the low belly in and up. But you still have that nice little trench in the low back as you sit lower, and then exhale, fold. Inhale, lift the low belly and the upper back. Now this time you can step back or hop back to Chaturanga. If you'd like to come to Urdhva Mukha, you're more than welcome to, or that Bhujangasana Cobra pose. Exhale, Adho Mukha, downward facing dog. Right leg is going to step forward for Warrior One. So in Warrior One, the back foot is at an angle, and you want your feet to be about hip-width distance apart. And then try to steer the left ribs a little bit more forward. So some people talk about squaring off the sacrum here. You don't want to force that. So sometimes this left hip is going to stay back, just anatomical structure. Each of us is different. But you do want to try to aim to get the left ribs kind of in line with the right. Arms can reach up if that feels like too much for your shoulders. A nice little cactus shake here is a great alternative. Or maybe a nice Y shape where the pinkies rotate towards the way that you're facing. And again, feet are on railroad tracks here in your Warrior One. Another alternative too, I know sometimes Warrior One doesn't work for everybody. So you can come into high lunge and lift the heel. And then exhale, hands touch down. Can you continue your exhalation as you lower Chaturanga Dandasana? And then inhale to your Bhujangasana or Urdhva Mukha. Exhale, Adho Mukha, down facing dog. Left leg steps forward, Warrior One. We'll stay here for a few breaths. In your Warrior One, too, again, steering the right ribs a little bit more forward. And the other thing you want to think about is lifting the inner right arch up. Imagine as if somebody going to taking the inseam of your right leg and drawing it back as you bend, or steering it back as you bend into your left knee. Another big breath in, soften through the shoulders. And then exhale, hands down. Finish your exhale as you lower Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale to your Bhujangasana or Urdhva Mukha. Exhale, Adho Mukha, downward facing dog. Again, a little bend in the knees, or you might start to notice, oh, the heels do touch down. Things are starting to open. Maybe you're feeling the breath move a little bit more freely through the body. Try to lift your forearms up away from your wrists, and again, steer the biceps towards the front of the room. As you inhale, lift the heels. Exhale, step, hop, or jump to the top of your mat. Can you land softly? Inhale, lift the low belly and the upper back. Exhale, fold. Utkatasana, chair pose. Inhale. Exhale, stand, Tadasana. Inhale. Arms reach up, Utkatasana. Exhale, fold. Inhale, lift the low belly and the upper back. Exhale, hop back, Chaturanga. Inhale, upper arm bones roll back. Cobra pose. Exhale, Adho Mukha, right leg forward on the breath. Warrior One or high lunge. Inhale. Exhale, hands touch down. Finish your exhale as you lower. You can hover the back leg if you wish. That right leg can stay lifted. Inhale, Bhujangasana. Exhale, Adho Mukha, left leg steps forward, Warrior One. Inhale. Exhale, hands down. Again, floating the left leg. Sometimes that's a nice little add-on. Inhale. Exhale, child's pose. Baby palms come to touch here as you bring the thumb to the back of your neck. Maybe in between your shoulder blades, depending on the length of your arms, the base of your skull, and stretching through the triceps, stretching through the shoulders. Just kind of getting a moment to ground. And those palms together, just noticing how the breath is moving through the body, and breathe into the back of the ribs. Now, child's pose, sits bones will always meet the heels. So another option can be here where you're on your forearms, or if you have a blanket or a bolster, you can always stick that underneath your sits bones and gives you a little bit more of a cushion to sit back in your child's pose. On your inhale, come on forward to your tabletop. Exhale, downward facing dog. On the inhale, lift the heels. Exhale, bend the knees and the knee. Hop. come on to your sits bones Navasana boat pose. So you're balancing on those sits bones, try to lift the low back in and up. A little bit of strengthening here, a little bit of core strength. Flexing or pointing the feet, whichever you prefer. Palms open up towards the ceiling. Inhale, lift the heart. Exhale, Ardha Navasana. Inhale, Navasana. Exhale, Ardha Navasana. Inhale, Navasana. Exhale, Ardha Navasana. Inhale, Navasana. Exhale, Ardha. Inhale, a little bit of strengthening. Exhale. Inhale. And then exhale, Baddha Konasana. So feet together, butterfly stretch, knees out wide. This is where blocks can be really nice. You just got to reach for my blocks. You can take those blocks and stack them on top of one another. It's a nice little resting place for your forehead. You can bring the backs of the palms to the earth. So you press the feet together. Or you can make more of a diamond shape. Hopefully you can see this, but make more of a diamond shape with your feet here. And you can place the blocks inside if that feels like too much. We're not looking for a super intense sensation, just enough. And then those of you that for your body, you want to keep the spine long, and then as you fold, the upper thoracic spine starts to curl. But I really like blocks here. And then just press the third eye, right? That center of intuition. Anything that got stirred up while you were moving through those sun A's and sun B's. Just allowing it to settle here. We'll do one last forward fold where you take that right leg out long and the left knee stays bent. Janu Sirsasana or figure four stretch. What I want you to do though is take your left hand to the inner right thigh and just kind of roll it down. That helps to support your sacrum. And same thing with the left legs. You're just kind of inner left, like inseam on your leg. Just roll it down and just make some space for those sits bones to really land. Again, a bolster can be really nice if you feel like you're curling. We don't want that. We don't want the tailbone to curl under. So you can take a bolster, and it's not like you're sitting on a chair. You're kind of sitting on a ledge, so you can get the hip points to tilt slightly forward. And then here again, blocks can be nice, where you place them in front of your left shin, and you fold in between your knees. Or maybe you don't need that. Maybe you want a little bit deeper for your body. Or you can bring the right forearm down onto a block or to the floor and take a nice big side stretch where you reach the left arm up and over. So I'm actually gonna remove the bolster off to the side. And that bolster could be a rolled up blanket or a towel. That can also be really nice. As you breathe in, I want you to curl the left ribs up towards the ceiling. As you exhale, ground down to your left sits bone. Another big breath in. Just feeling the stretch. And on your exhale, come back through center. You're going to place that left hand outside of your left hip for stargazer. Just a little back bend. Lift the heart, lift the hips. And then exhale, release. And we're just going to switch sides. So I can face you. I'm just going to flip around, but you just flip. Left leg is straight. Right knee is bent. We're going to rotate those inner thighs down. Make some room for the sits bones. And you're folding in between the knees. Take a few breaths there. Find a block or two blocks. And place your forehead down. As we start to come near the end of our practice, we're not looking for the most intense variation of sensation, right? We're kind of looking to ease our nervous system. So allowing yourself to find that place that feels like just enough, but not too much. Or maybe taking a block Is that your left arm? You reach the right arm up and over, getting into the low back and the QL and stretching through that right side body. This part of our body, for myself anyway, sometimes tends to be tight, and that really constricts the diaphragm and doesn't allow us to breathe freely. And so when we're not breathing freely, or our body doesn't feel like it's breathing freely, it kind of seizes up, right? And it's in this fight, flight, or freeze mode. And so the more that we can open up this side body, the more we tell our body, our nervous system, or subtle body, like, you're safe, you can breathe freely. And so let yourself open here as much as you can. You might notice both sides are not the same, and that's absolutely okay. And on your inhale, coming back through center, plant the right palm right outside your right hip. Just going to come onto that right shin for stargazer. You might feel a stretch through the left side body as well. And then on your exhale, both feet are going to go long for Dandasana. Again, ground the sits bones down. Just really helps to protect your low back. And then take your finger pads outside of your hips. And I just want you to sit tall, flex through the feet, and just notice if that is enough sensation. You're not going to go anywhere. This is a great forward fold. Or if you'd like more, you can bring those feet together. You can take a block and make some Tetris shapes so that your forehead can rest on the block. Or some of you might be able to forward fold into your Paschimottanasana. Soften through the jaw, soften through the face. And so in yoga, the asana, the shapes that we make with our body, often communicate something transcendent. And so forward folds are actually a way that our body communicates reverence. Reverence or being reverent sometimes doesn't always land with people. So I think of it like deep, deep gratitude. And gratitude's a muscle, right? Especially when we're going through difficult stuff. It can be really hard to find what we're grateful for. But I really do believe that even in the most difficult of our days, we can always find a tiny sliver of something that we can be grateful for, because we can't be grateful for everything, right? So as you forward fold here in this place, or if you're here in Dandasana, just taking a moment to soften through the face. Allow the shoulders to release, and just name that one thing through today that you're grateful for. Sometimes it's just like a warm cup of tea or coffee, or an orange sunrise, or a smile from a stranger. And remember that gratitude is a really powerful force. And then slowly come onto your back. I know this is a bit of a shorter practice, but if you do have time for Shavasana, you can use your blocks and place them behind your knees. This is really nice, especially for my people who have got a irksome low back. That can feel really nice as you come into your Shavasana. And this is a place where we allow the body to rest and we start to work the mind. So without the distractions of movement, noticing where your mind goes. Noticing where it wanders to. Does it frolic into the future, or does it go into past pastures? And so see if you can notice, right? This meditation and mindfulness is not about stuffing down the thoughts. And then notice the thought and allow it to kind of pass like a passing cloud in the sky. Or to notice the thought and to decide, is this what you want to keep? Or is this what you want to release? And so if you have some time here, in Buddhism, there's a phrase, sky mind, right? To make your mind vast like sky. And the goal here is that our mind is vast like sky so that we can hold all the emotions and all the thoughts with a bit more spaciousness. One of the things that I like to kind of translate that to is that my heart is vast like sky, because I feel a lot of the emotions really in my heart, as I'm sure many of you do. And so may we feel things with a bit more spaciousness to hold the whole capacity of our humanness. If that speaks to you, may you rest in Shavasana for as long as you need. If not, you can seal your practice in a way that feels useful for you. One thing I'll just offer is the phrase "Loka samasta sukhini no bhavantu." Like, may all beings everywhere be contented, live freely, and find peace. Might even translate to being happy, but may all beings everywhere live freely, be contented, and find peace. So Om Shanti Shanti, Shanti, peace. You go with a little bit more peace. Thanks, everyone, and have a great rest of your day, your evening. I hope this set you off. If you have this practice for your morning, set you off on a good place to begin your day. So thanks for being with me, and I'll see you somewhere.